Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here and welcome back to the railway. I'm very excited because today I'm launching a very large range of new Uncle Fredrikson's amazing balancing trains. Today I am launching 8 new Uncle Fredrikson's balancing models. 5 of them are revamped versions of models you've seen before, but they're coming back with new features and different colours. And 3 of today's models are completely new designs. You haven't seen them before, and they're even crazier than ever. So the first freight pack that I want to announce today is this one. This is known as Uncle Fredrikson's amazing balancing piano train. And it comes with 3 of these piano wagons, and I will explain the crazy backstory behind this in just a second. And of course you get a custom card here which says which limited edition number out of 75 your set is, and there's also a little signed thank you on there. This set is £20.99 and it's available on Etsy right now, links in the description. The second pack that I'm announcing today is this one. This one's known as Uncle Fredrikson's Amazing Balancing Freight Train Returns. And this is a preservation era freight train which for the first time consists of 4 models and not just 3. The first one is one that you have seen before. This is an open wagon, but it's received some upgrades and I'll talk to you about those in just a second. This one's done in yellow, as you can see. The second model is this. It is the box van. This time it is done in a grey, as you can see, and the roof on this is now separately fitted so that it can be a different colour. Wagon number 3 is an all-new design and it is this. It is a modern hopper which is in a silver colour, as you can see. Tons and tons of detail on this one, including the separately fitted roof, which again gives that a little bit of relief, and it also means that that can be a different colour. And then the final model in the freight pack is this. You've got to have a brake van, of course, and it's back with some different colours. Again, it's got some upgrades and it now has a little bit of painted interior detail. Chloe's been painting the brake wheels on these, so they've got even more detail than ever before. This pack also comes with a little card with a number and a signed thank you on it from me. So this pack of 4 wagons is going to cost £26.99 and this too is available on Etsy right now. The third pack is this, Uncle Fredrikson's Amazing Balancing Coaches Rebuild. So yes, the balancing coaches are finally back. They are now a different design, as you're going to see. They've got different colours, different roofs, and a few different features. The pack comes with 2 of these. This is the standard coach with 6 seats inside it. And there's also a brand new model in this pack in the shape of this. This is a balancing brake coach, which has a little bit of interior detail as well. It's got a painted brake wheel, little table and some seats inside. And as you can see, there are more details on the bodywork as well. And yes, the coach pack also comes with a little signed thank you note with your special limited edition number on it. This set is available on Etsy now as well, and it's going to cost £22.99. I'm also running a limited run of single tanker wagons. These are available separately. I've got 3 different colours of these, and when you order one of these you'll get just a random colour, and these are going to be £7.49 each, although these are add-on models, so you will have to use these in conjunction with another set, because obviously without another balancing model to support them they'll just tip over. Or alternatively you could just buy 2 of these and then they can support each other. So those are the 8 models. Every single one of these models has a new chassis design which features screws rather than just pegs to hold everything together. So this makes each model much sturdier. They're not going to come apart now unless you undo the screws. Each new model now has pivoting NEM pockets, which of course removes the need for those very chunky looking coupling bars that I used to use before. And now the models come with these very simple coupling bars, which are easier to use, they're less fiddly, less faffing around, and they also allow some closer coupling as well. All of these models are made in England. In fact, they are all built right here in this room and hand assembled by me. They are, of course, though 3D printed, so they will have a 3D printed finish to them, and there may be minor imperfections in some of the bodywork. Please bear in mind these are not professionally produced products. They are Sam's Train's merchandise, basically designed to bring you entertainment and a little bit of joy. Having said that, all of these models have been printed on a new machine, or at least the bodies have, which makes the bodies much better quality than they were before, and I'm really pleased with the way they've turned out. Anyway, let's jump back to the piano trains. Let's explain where on earth these crazy models came from. When the last of the Grimburn Railway's balancing coaches were disassembled and converted into freight wagons, a small handful of leftover balancing chassis were purchased by the Morotoses Melody Makers, a relatively new manufacturer of pianos on the island of Morotoses. Their factory was located around 3/4 of a mile from the Morotoses port, where the pianos were loaded onto ships and exported around the world. From their founding in 1907 up until 1917, the company had been using horses and carts to transport the pianos from the factory down a short hill to the port. But this was obviously quite impractical and expensive, and when the sales of pianos went into decline due to the First World War, the company decided to act. They actually built a small industrial railway from their factory to the port, and they converted the balancing chassis they bought from the Grimburn Railway into specialised piano carrying wagons. This eliminated the need for horses and carts completely. Instead, multiple pianos could be loaded easily into one train from a platform at the factory, after which a fireless locomotive would haul them down to the port and then return to the factory with the empty wagons. The round trip was just 1.5 miles, which was short enough for a fireless locomotive to make the journey from the factory to the dock and then back to the factory again on one single charge of compressed air. The journey was also so short that, providing the weather was good, the pianos could be transported completely uncovered, which led to the absolutely fascinating spectacle of a convoy of pianos running silently along a railway. Let me show you what you actually get then in the balancing piano train pack. You've got the 3 pianos right here and the accessories bag. So I guess we'll start with the accessories bag. There's very little to actually do to assemble these because they're all pre-assembled this time. So you've obviously got your little card which tells you which limited edition number you've got, and a little thank you note from me. Yeah, these are very limited, only 75 of these sets has been made, because unfortunately it just takes so long, so I'm sorry if you do miss out. So in here you've just literally got the 3 balancing bar couplings. You only actually need 2 of these. One of them is in case you buy another set and you want to daisy chain them together, and then you've got 2 NEM couplings so that you can couple the train to another loco that isn't balancing. Okay, let's have a look at some of the pianos then. So you've got 3 of these and they are the same. Let's pull these out. Obviously be very careful because they are quite delicate. And there you have it. You have the very detailed little piano. I absolutely loved designing this thing, which is obviously a separate piece. And there's even the little keyboard, which is a separate piece glued to the piano. And that even has the keys on it, which I'm so pleased to have been able to do. Amazing what these 3D printers can do. And of course this also has the new sort of springing couplings, as you can see, which makes the couplings work. Right, so let me pull out the rest of the pianos. Like I say, they are all of the same thing, so no need to go into too much detail in each. And I'll show you how to couple them together. So all you do is you take 2 of your bar couplings, you go around the corner, remember, so you start by just putting one of these lugs into place, push the other with your thumb, turn it round and push in. You have to be very careful not to stress these couplings because obviously they are just 3D printed plastic, and if you're bending them around too much, you might damage them, so just be careful. Alright, second one in, there we go. Second coupling goes in there, And then the last piano, I'm actually making sure all of the pianos are facing the same way, just because I prefer that. And then with the actual NEM tension locks, I tend to find that it's easier just to use one, because these balancing chassis can rock forwards and backwards a little bit, and if you have a rear coupling fitted and it's not coupled to anything, it can sort of droop down and touch the points and stuff. So I'm just going to put one on this. There we go, so that I can couple the piano train up to a locomotive. And I guess that's what we should do next. So let's get these pianos down onto the track and let's see how they perform. So for this test, I've set up a Hornby 040 Peckhit. It just seems to suit these somehow. And the pianos are, of course, on the track. Now, because these wagons literally balance on a single axle, as you can see, it's possible for them to rock a little bit. So if you're going to perform a coupling, it is necessary to make sure you park the wagon with the tension lock in a way that the coupling is not drooping down or anything. Once the loco is coupled, it doesn't really matter what happens, but if you want an automated coupling, that's what you need to do. So let's give that a try, see if we can get coupled up. Let's send the Peckhit back. There you go, hopefully that's the pianos coupled, yeah. And let's send this ridiculous looking train off around the track for a little test. So as you can see, the new coupling design means that these piano wagons, and in fact all of the wagons today, handle the curves quite nicely and with the closer coupling, like I say. And yeah, this is a silly one. This is definitely a silly one. But I'm so proud of the piano design. I actually looked at my own piano in order to do this. So these are scale models of the piano I have right here in the house. And I actually attacked it with my tape measure so that I could get it exactly right. And I found it a very, very relaxing job as well to sort of assemble all of these. I've loved screwing the pianos onto the bodies, and I've loved gluing the keyboards in place. Yeah, it's been an awful lot of fun, and I really hope you enjoy these things when you get them. So there you go, as you can see, it works absolutely perfectly. Let's move on then and talk a little bit more about the return of the Uncle Fredrikson's balancing freight train. Archibald E. Fredrikson was born in 1845 and he died in 1928 at the ripe old age of 83. In 1970, in honour of Fredrikson's 125th birthday, the Grimburn Railway restored 3 items of Fredrikson's own design of freight rolling stock from 1917, and they operated them around their railway for tourists to enjoy. Some liberties were taken with the colours of the wagons, as no colour photos of the originals actually exist. The team also devised a new wagon to show what balancing rolling stock might have looked like if it had continued to have been developed beyond 1917. The new wagon was a modern hopper which could have been used to transport cement, china clay or sand. Although this wagon was only ever used for tourist demonstrations on the Grimburn Railway, the design was actually so good that it inspired the design of the PAA 2-axle hopper wagon that would be built some 10 years later for the UK. The preserved balancing freight train can still be enjoyed by visitors to the Grimburn Railway today. Let me show you what you get in the balancing freight train returns set. So it's much the same in terms of accessories. I will show you this to start with. So obviously, just like the piano pack, you've got the little card with my signed thank you on it and your number. And the accessories are largely the same, except you've got 4 bar couplings this time, so that you've still got enough to couple the whole train together, plus a spare in case you buy anything else. You've got a set of handrails this time as well, and I'll show you what you do with these. These fit onto the brake van, and of course you've got your NEM couplings. So let's open up the brake van first, and I'll show you what you do. Pull this out, and this brake van has been improved a little bit. So the roof is now a better fit so that it's not so easy to remove. It is still removable, but you have to be a bit more careful with it. And inside you can see we've got a bit of interior there, including the little brake wheel, which has been painted by Chloe. So thank you very much, Chloe. That's probably a lot neater than I would have done it. And then the roof just pops back on, if I get it the right way, which I haven't. There we go. And let me show you how to fit these little handrails then. So all you do is literally snip off the handrails from the center column, like so. And don't lose them like I almost did. Then you want to take a little bit of super glue, or if you're more careful you could use some PVA so that it doesn't make a mess. You apply the glue into these little holes and then very carefully push the handrails into place. They should be a tight fit, and if they are struggling to fit you might have to open up the holes with a file or whatever, but all of the ones I've tested do fit. And it's the same on both sides, so I'll pop them in. With these I'm just friction fitting them, I'm not using glue for the video, and as you can see they are actually staying put. But doing it like this, obviously you do run the risk of them popping out again and you losing them, so I would recommend a little bit of glue if you want. That's the only wagon that requires any sort of assembly. Let me show you some of the others. So here we have, what's this one? This is the box van. Let me show you this. So this has been redesigned so that the roof is now a separate piece. So you've got a different coloured roof as to the rest of the van, which I think looks really good. And the roof is screwed on as well, it's not just snapped on, so that should stay put. And yeah, it's got the new chassis design and such. And then we've got my favourite one, which is the hopper. This is a new edition, never released any of these before. I'll show you this. Based on the PAA hopper, of course, or rather the PAA hopper would go on to be based on this. Yeah, I love the details on this. It's got all of the little wiring underneath the panelling and such, and the separately fitted top, which allows it to be a different colour. And I'm particularly happy with the hydraulic roof opening mechanism, which is all sort of detailed on there. So yeah, I love the way that looks. And then you've got just a simple open wagon here, which is done in yellow this time. I forget what colour they were last time, but again, this has been upgraded so that it has the new chassis and everything. And yeah, I'm really pleased with just the print quality on these. I'm using a different machine now, like I say, and they look awesome. So let's put this pack together with some couplings. Go. I'm not paying too much attention to the order with which I do this. So let's just pop those together as they are. Again, do be careful not to put any stress on these couplings because you don't want to bend them, mess them up. 3, and then let's do the brake van. Which side do we want? Let's do it like this. Okay, let's put that in after the open wagon, I reckon, and then we'll put a NEM coupling on the front of the whole lot so that I can couple it up to a locomotive. And I guess now that the set is together, that's what we'll do. So let's find a loco, let's get them going. So since this is a preservation era freight train, I've gone with a more modern loco this time. So it's a Hornby Sentinel. So let's go and couple up to the sets backwards with the Sentinel. Hopefully it won't cut out. I think the Sentinel hook might have missed the hopper there. Okay, there we go. So yeah, we've got some big models in this set. The hopper is absolutely gigantic. I was going to call that a behemoth hopper at one point because it is so big. But yeah, very interesting freight train. And of course, if you add the pianos to it and you add the tanker, you get an even bigger train together. I'll show you that later on. But yeah, as you can see, they run on the same chassis as the piano trains, so the performance is much the same. And yeah, even though the hopper is bigger and heavier and such, as you can see, it still works as it should. Although the balancing effect is quite amplified with that one because it's kind of top heavy, so it does kind of rock forwards and backwards a little bit, which is quite terrifying. You know, if you imagine this thing in real life full of cement, yeah, I'm sure you can imagine how well that would go. But here in model form, that sort of thing is possible. So there you have it, the return of the Uncle Fredrikson's amazing balancing freight train with all 4 models up and running for you. The original balancing coaches were introduced to the Grimburn Railway to the design of Archibald E. Fredrikson in 1870. They were the very first of Fredrikson's balancing rolling stock ever to be constructed. Their unique design came about as a result of the tight economic situation on the island of Morotoses at the time, and single-axle coaching stock allowed the company to precisely match the number of seats on their passenger trains with the number of tickets sold, a feat that would be impossible with larger coaches with more seats. The coaches had openings at each end to allow the passengers to communicate or to pass objects from one coach to another, and they also had no brakes. The trains were so short that locomotive braking was considered more than adequate at the time. In 1900 though, the coaches were 30 years old and they were in quite poor shape. There was also concerns about the safety of the system, compounded by their unconventional design. To combat this, a complete rebuild of all 15 balancing coaches was commissioned. This included the removal of the circular openings at the ends of each coach for safety purposes, and also the construction of 3 new brake coaches so that a guard would be able to operate the brakes on board the coaches to further improve safety. Ladders and grab rails were also added to the brake coaches to allow access to the roofs for servicing, and also to access the new oil-based lighting, which was actually simpler and more effective, unbelievably, than the unreliable electric lamps that the coaches had been using for the past 10 years or so. These upgrades allowed the coaches to continue in service for another 6 years or so, until the economic situation on the island finally changed. Now, ships were allowed to dock on the island, making coal prices drop, and so more conventional passenger rolling stock could be used instead, and most of the balancing coaches were rebuilt into standard 4-wheel coaches. Those that weren't converted were used for tourists during the summer seasons who enjoyed the novelty of coaches balancing on a single axle. This sadly ended around 10 years later when new safety regulations deemed the balancing coaches too unsafe for passengers, and they were finally rebuilt into freight wagons, which did give them a new lease of life, but it sadly put an end to the fascinating coaches. These new models depict the coaches as they appeared in the rebuilt condition between 1900 and 1917. Let me show you then what you get with the new balancing train pack. So let's have a look at the accessories once again. Not that much different really from the others. You do get the little card which has the different design. You've now got a window piece, and I'm going to show you how you go about fitting the windows. So I'll show you that, and then you've just got a standard pack of couplings which is the same as the piano pack. So before I show you the windows, let's open these up. I'm so pleased with these because these have received all of the upgrades that all of the other wagons have got. So they've got the new chassis, new roof design as you can see, so that the body is the body and the roof is the roof. There's no overlap. And the roofs are of course removable to reveal the interior. So there you go. I think I'm going to leave this roof off because I'm about to fit some glazing into it. Let me show you another coach. I think I've gone and got the same one, have I? No, this one is the brake. So yeah, this is a different design. It's got the sort of ladder on the back, or rather the steps. It's got the little lamp brackets and the handrail on there. And I suppose I should pop the roof off this one then. There you go. So you can see we've got the little Chloe painted brake wheel inside, as well as a little table and just some seats as well. So there you go. And then the last coach is going to be much the same as the first one I pulled out. This is just the standard coach. Let me show you then how we go about fitting the glazing. So you've got the window piece, like I say. You're going to want to take some sharp scissors or something like that and cut along the lines. And then you take a paintbrush and some PVA glue or white glue, and you just paint a small amount of that onto the inside of the coach. Hopefully you can see this. Just onto the panels between the different windows, and a little bit on the edges if you want to. Okay, then you take one of the pieces of glazing that you've just cut out, you peel the glazing off the back, which should come off nice and easily, and then it's just a case of putting it in place and letting the glue set. So you push those down as far as they will go, and the glue should dry, and then you should have glazing. So I'm going to do the rest of these and then I'll show you what the whole set looks like with glazing. Okay, there you go. All of the coaches now have their glazing fitted. So now let's take them down onto the track. Let's couple them up to a loco and let me show you the performance of these. So here we are back where the whole Uncle Fredrikson story started with the balancing coaches. I've got the Caledonian Andrew Barclay from Hattons there, ready to haul them. And for the first time, here we go with the rebuilt balancing coaches. Ultimately, it was important that I brought these back in rebuilt condition because obviously when I first brought out the balancing coaches, I did say those were limited edition. And I don't want to be like that company that says something's limited edition and then it sells well so they bring it back, and those who thought they were getting a limited run of something actually don't have something quite as special as they thought. So by bringing all of these models back in different colours with different features, I can make sure that the limited nature of the originals is preserved. Anyway, let's see how this goes. The Andrew Barclay matching the blue livery of the coaches, of course. I don't know if we've got a perfect coupling there, so I'll just make sure they've gone together properly. There we go. All right, let's see how these work. The new and improved balancing coaches. So there you go. I'm actually really pleased with the blue of these coaches. It's very different from the green that I did the first time around. And I don't know, I guess I do prefer the blue. I think the blue with the white roofs is quite a nice look. And of course these coaches are a little bit more conventional than the first run of balancing coaches. I suppose the ends are more like real coaches. And the fact that we've got a brake on there now adds an extra level of realism too, which I really like. But yeah, as you can see, they work absolutely fine, good performers. And the new coupling system definitely helps to improve performance as well. So let me just show you that tanker very quickly. That's quite a simple one. And then we'll come back and do a bit of a running session with everything all together. And then finally, let me show you the ropes with this tanker. The accessories pack is very simple here. Remember, this is supposed to be an add-on, so you will have to use this with some other balancing pack, or like I say, you could buy 2 of these and then you could use them. So you've got just 1 bar coupling, 1 NEM coupling, and you've got the handrails. No, they're not handrails. I always call them handrails. They are cabling for the tanker. Let me show you the tanker then. You've got, like I say, a random choice of colour. This one is obviously green, but there's also blue and yellow, I think it is. Okay, so there you have it. Nice looking tanker there. And to fit the handrails, no, cabling, I'm going to keep doing it, you're going to want to cut the cabling as long as possible. So it's very important that you don't accidentally cut these shorter than they should be. So I'm going to get it as close to the edge as I can, and I'm going to just cut 2 of these off. You have got some spares because it is very easy to cut them too short, but just cut 2 at a time, because if you cut all 4 and you make a mistake, then the mistake applies to all of them. So you're going to apply a little bit of glue with your needle into the little holes on the edges of these supports, like that, and then you're going to take these handrails, cabling, I'll get it right one day, or maybe I won't. You pop them in at one end and then carefully bend them round so they fit into the other end, and then the glue should take hold, and once it does, they should be fixed in place. So I'm going to add this to another one of the, let's add it to the freight train, let's say, and then you can see how this thing looks. There we go. So I've put a mega freight train together now with the pianos, the freight set and the tanker, which looks absolutely ridiculous, doesn't it? So there you go, those are my new releases in the Uncle Fredrikson range. All of this stuff is available right now on Etsy, so check it out if you want to. If you do decide to support the channel by picking up any of this stuff, I want to say a huge thank you, because by supporting the channel, you can help to ensure its future, basically. You make it possible for me to continue to make new videos and reviews and such, and for that, thank you very much. I'm not a big fan of just going onto live streams and taking donations without offering anything in return. I mean, I will happily accept them, and to those of you who still do that, thank you so much for your support. That is amazing. But I don't expect anything for nothing, and I am more than happy to work for my income. And to me, having these models to give to you in exchange for your support is so much better than just donations. So I'm so lucky to be able to do this. So thank you again so much for your support, and I really hope you enjoy these models. They've been so much fun to develop and test and design and all that other good stuff, and now they are finally ready to go out into the world. That is quite a thrill as well. So let me know how you get on. I hope you enjoy them. If you've got any thoughts on this stuff, or perhaps on what you'd like to see come up in the future, please do let me know. But for now, I'll say thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Alright, cheers folks, take care.